Welcome to Global Village Show. We are very glad today. We have Mr. Mike Christie. He's the Executive Director of Community Foundation in Medicine Hat. And we also have Mr. Desiree Kiana, who is the Executive Director of Francophone in Brooks. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
Mike, could you please tell us a little bit about yourself?
I am a retired military man from the British Army. Although I was born in Canada, the family moved back to the UK. After school, I joined the Army. After 25 years in the Army, I finished in the rank of Major, decided that I would like to move back to Canada. It turns out I have a birthright, which was very nice, so didn't have to do any of the complicated paperwork, and I've been working at the Community Foundation pretty much since then, so the last nearly 13 years.
So when you moved, you were 4 years of age, right?
When I moved back from West Vancouver, where we were living, yes, I was 4, so I think I went back and straight into school in the UK.
So when you have a birth rate, that means you automatically citizen there.
Yeah, I mean, it's very nice of Canada that if you're born here, that birthright means you can come back whenever you feel like it.
Or you have to just go to the embassy and get your
I didn't even have to do that. I had a birth certificate.
Oh, so you flew back?
Yeah, I just flew back, showed my birth certificate to the immigration people, and they gave me a big hug and said, "Welcome home."
Well, that's great. That's the spirit of the Canadians.
Yes, it is.
Oh, that's very nice. Desiree, I think you've been a guest of the program before. Mike's first time, I think, or second time you guys meeting. Could you just give us a brief of who Mr. Desiree is?
Yes, I am Desiree Kiana. I am the Executive Secretary at the Francophone Association of Brooks. I've been in Canada about 15 years. Before I came here, before I came to Brooks, before I moved to Alberta, I was in Quebec, Sherbrooke. So I did my studies there, my university there, and after that I moved to Brooks.
So that means you were not born here and then moved back to Africa. You came to Brooks.
Yeah,
you came to Canada.
I came to Canada, yeah.
So that means you don't have the birthright. Okay, could you please tell us about the foundation, Community Foundation in Medicine Hat, which is, I was looking at the website last night. It's a great foundation, and very honored to say great things that you're doing.
We're quite proud of the programs we run. The Community Foundation is very much a regional organization, so although it has offices in Medicine Hat, that's really about as far as it goes. It's really about providing charitable support to the whole of our southeastern Alberta regional area, which does cover quite a big area, and we go as far north as sort of Hanna and Consort, and then everything else in between, with obviously Brooks and Medicine Hat being the two biggest centres. What makes us unique is that the gifts we get, we don't spend. We keep them and invest them. So they go into these things they call endowments, permanent endowments, which is like a community trust fund. You keep the money forever, hopefully, everything being equal, the investment world doing its thing. And then you earn interest, and that interest then is used to make charitable grants. So charities operating within that regional area can qualify for a grant or financial support from us.
So is it based on Southeast, or there is a Canadian Community Foundation as well?
Yes, as a movement, it's really taking hold right across the whole of Canada. And so there is over 180 community foundations now in Canada. I've, as I said, been working for about not quite nearly 13 years. When I first started, there were 90, and so it's doubled in the time I've been involved.
Wow.
To 180. So it does seem to be a growing thing.
Across the country.
Right across the country, yes, yes. So the history for our foundation, we were created in 1992, so we're celebrating our 20th anniversary right at the moment. But and so that's what makes us unique compared to any other charities who obviously, have annual fundraising campaigns. They get the money in, they spend the money, they start again next year. With ours, the money is never spent. And it does mean that, Mike Christie, I can have a fund in my name, and if the money's never spent, my name's attached to that, whatever I can afford that bit of money, and that'll go on forever.
I see.
And I can be supporting my favorite charity through my fund forever.
Wow, that's a good method. That's a great one. Desiree, what programs you guys do then in Brooks?
The Francophone Association is currently now running a youth program, and this program started. We opened a youth center from 2009, and but we started the youth program from 2006. So we organized 3 youth forum so that we can exactly understand what was the need for the youth in our community. It's from that forum we organized, which we opened the youth center because it was one of the need which have been identified by the youth. So we are running that program, and every day we always have, we start by a homework club. After the homework club, we have other different activities every day. So we have citizenship, education through the citizenship, and we try to help the youth to be involved in the community because our clients are specific, are mostly immigrant youth, but it's not meaning that we exclude other youth, but they still welcome at the youth center. But when we speak about immigrant youth, we try to let them understand that they belong to the Brooks community. So it's why our program too much. We try to do our best so that our immigrant youth can feel their home.
Good.
So apart from that, education to citizenship. So we organize too much volunteering activities in the community with the youth. We have about 114 youth registered to our program. We have about 25 to 40 youth a day in our program. So I remember last summer we have the youth decided not to have all the summer at home or in the community without doing anything. So the youth committee decided to do an activity which have an impact in the community. So they organized an operation. They called it Brooks Beautiful Clean Operation. So they were there to clean backyards, parks, street all the summertime, and we have a closing ceremony at the City Hall August the 17th. So we have a different program, and the youth enjoy the program.
Yeah, well, that's great, and I've been there a couple of times, so that's great. Mr. Mike, what are the criteria for the foundation to be funding a local organization within the territory of the foundation?
Good question. And it's hopefully a fairly simple answer.
Okay.
As far as we're concerned, all you need to be is a registered Canadian charity, ideally operating locally within our regional area.
Yeah.
So we describe ourselves as a 360-degree grant maker, the full circle.
Yeah.
So we have managed in our 20-year history to make over 800 different grants, totaling about $3 million over that time, just over that amount. And youth, seniors, health, education, social services, environment, whatever, the door is open. All you have to be is a registered charity. And those are regulations laid down by the federal government, by the Canada Revenue Agency that regulates all charities. And so that's the one thing, and that really is it.
Okay, so when you say a charity organization, meaning you have to have the Revenue Canada charity number.
Yes, Yes,
Okay.
and that's a good distinction, because there are a number of organizations,
Doesn't
particularly new ones,
Yeah.
who get their business number from our province.
Yeah.
But that could be a not-for-profit, meaning the Chamber of Commerce
Yeah.
is a not-for-profit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Never ever going to get charitable status. But most charities start off by getting a business number, then they apply
for Revenue
to
Canada.
to Ottawa,
Yeah.
to the
Revenue
federal
Canada.
government.
Yeah.
Charitable status is what we need. Yeah.
Okay. Which takes probably couple months before the Revenue Canada releases the number.
Yes.
Which is a very good ethics. That's great. The how you then evaluate those projects if they are becoming beneficial to the target population.
Yeah, that's where life gets a little more difficult, because every single time we run an application process 2 times every year. So it's on the 15th of September. So one has just gone.
Yeah.
And then the next one's 15th of March. Every year is the same. And so we ask people to fill in an application form, and then we have a committee of community people, volunteers, whose job is to read all the applications and then to grade and score them as best they can within their own, capacity. We give them criteria. We give them some scoring sheets. It's out of 50 points.
Yeah.
So 30 of those points are based on the plan, on the business case, on the hard nuts and bolts of what they're doing, and 20 points on 2 different categories are based on what the heart says. So head and heart are used to come up with a score, and with about 12 people and 12 different scores, that you very quickly find out the applications that most of the volunteers like, and the ones that maybe just need a little more work, and obviously the ones they like are the ones that are going to be funded. But it's a very difficult thing. I think most often we will have requests for about 5 or 6 times the amount of money that we've got available.
Okay, no, that is great. I was reading your website last night sometime, and one of the things that come across is you mentioned health, which is very important to our community. When you say health, is that also added mental health issues, which is nowadays going up because of, you can say, maybe socioeconomics, maybe for other reasons. The new Canadians have their own share, because when someone comes from a refugee camp, or when someone comes from a dictatorship, I don't have to explain to you, because you've been in many countries during your military career. Coming from those countries, coming here, not having anybody to lean on most of the time, because you are new to the area, that creates also anxiety, stress, depression, whatever you want to call. The problem that most of the people also have, the stigma. Someone will not come forward and say, you know what, I'm having some issues in my head, because of the stigma that he or she might afraid the community will say, oh, getting crazy. So it's going to be underlying issue. So they will deny until something major happen.
Yes.
Which needs to be proactive and prevent. So what role as a foundation you see can play in that?
Well, first off, being aware of exactly the situations you describe, having a sympathy for that, I think is definitely one thing we have and we acknowledge.
Yeah.
So we're constantly working with our partner charities to make sure that we have the latest information and understand the changing society we live in.
Okay.
Further to that, I would say that some of those same charities need to recognize the intense intensity of the work they're doing, and wherever they can, keep applying and keep asking and keep coming to us for money, and not to be put off that maybe sometimes we have to say no because the money's not there. So for us, we would certainly always encourage that. There has to be a bit of paperwork. We have to have a bit of form filling to be done, but we try and make it as simple as we can. And so first off, a sympathy from within the organization to recognize that these are our people who need our help, and then from the charities that are best placed to provide that help, to say, you have to keep applying, you have to keep asking, keep filling out the form. If you get a no, it doesn't mean it will be a no the next time. It could well be a yes.
Good. What do you say about that, Mr. Desiree? Which you dealt with a lot of the immigrant population, and the
maybe
issue.
it was like a question or like an observation. As community organization, and Mike just speak about the realities, the new realities in communities. So I always think, say, why do we have many realities now coming on in our different community organizations, and speaking about the registration charity number, it's always been a problem sometime for other organizations, especially when speaking about funding. So funding is to improve people's life, and if some people can be excluded because of that kind of one of your criteria, what do you think should we change the criteria so that other people can have an access to your fund?
No. No, I would question why the authorities in Ottawa hadn't provided the number, and I realize actually sometimes
it takes time.
It takes, not only does it take time, but they can be very precise about the wording they want to see in certain documents, and that I know can be terribly frustrating for some people, and particularly if it's an organization that is with newer Canadian folk are trying to fill out what can be very complicated forms. But I think it's if I was answering the question from the point of view of the donors who give the money to us to then invest, to then hand it out, I think they would be saying, we want to know that we've put our money into the Community Foundation, that the Community Foundation is careful about where its money goes, and that it's only going to things that have been absolutely looked into and authorized by the federal government. As unfair as it might seem, particularly to newer organizations, my answer is, well, we can even help with that. We can help with how to fill in the forms and how to get to Ottawa with the right language that gets the charitable status that then gets the funding.
The resources you will be
you're able to do. And I know one community foundation that even produced, they were asked to do this so many times, they produced a booklet, a guide on how to get charitable status.
Yeah, but so before we go there, maybe Canada revenue still maybe another. It's still maybe far from the communities than you are. You are more close to the communities. So I'm sure if there is any organization working good and which is able to improve people's life in the community, you are the best person to identify that organization. We can go to where they are working. You can see what exactly they are doing in the community. So I'm sure maybe something should be done that side.
I think that's why he's saying probably they can provide the resources to help, I guess, if I'm not mistaken, to help the language. I think that's what.
That's it exactly. I think, and I think there are others too. There are United Way. There are there are other organizations that I'm sure would be able to say the same thing. you know, no, but I do agree. I mean, I think the Community Foundation is uniquely positioned with a greater degree of knowledge about the whole community than many other organizations, and so may be in a better position to provide the kind of help and advice. I mean, I mean, I'm one person. I run a small shop, you know, and I can't actually do all the form filling and all the stuff myself. But yeah, I mean, I mean, there's certainly lots of advice on how to get the money. The problem for us also, though, is even having got charitable status for an organization, you know, we still have limited resources in terms of, well, how much money we can put in. And I also should add that we are not like United Way that may well pick several charities and then look to almost be funding them every single year.
Okay. You change.
Yeah, we change every single year. So we're looking to encourage a project or to get something started, a new initiative. But I don't think we're a good organization for anyone to rely on for annual, ongoing,
income.
year after year income.
Yeah. No, that's. But I'm not sure if I don't know if as a Francophone, if you apply the United Way, if the requirement will be similar to what Mike is mentioning about Revenue Canada's status.
Yeah.
Do they have the same
I think they
policy than United Way as well, or they don't require the number of Revenue Canada?
Yeah, they require number of Revenue Canada.
They do require.
We are just at the province, and we are just at Revenue Canada, but we don't have the charity number.
So United Way, they also apply. They also require them.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah. So the same as the.
And it wasn't you, but I can't remember who I met.
Me.
Well, you know, it wasn't.
Yeah, I remember we met at the college in Brooks.
Oh no, really?
Yeah. So
And I
we
came
talked
to your
about this.
office.
It was about 3 or 4 years
And
ago.
I remember I came to your office here in Medicine Hat. We brought a form.
Right.
Drop it there. Yeah.
sometimes we look alike. So that
Oh,
also.
No. It's to do with the grey hair and the brain cells that are just giving out.
It is.
No.
It is. Yeah, it is. But also, just you for side is, as person that who travel also, what do you think the advantage of a diverse population, community such as Brooks or Medicine Hat, advantage is?
It's absolutely essential.
Okay.
I've lived in a few different countries in my military career, travel around a bit, and you can tell immediately the people that haven't traveled enough when they speak out about a community issue or express an opinion.
Okay.
And it's very insular, and it's only, you know, around their own experiences are, you know, very local, and they you know, they don't. Some people don't know perhaps how lucky they are, how well off they are, and find fault where the rest of us may well say, "Oh, we live in such a great place. You know, be thankful for what you have, rather than." You know, the glass is half empty rather than half full kind of people. Oh, absolutely essential. Yeah, and I mean, and all. I mean, I'm involved at the moment in a committee that are trying to recruit more doctors, and of course, they keep talking about, you know, going to other countries.
South Africa
particularly, but more recently Ireland as well, and getting doctors to come. But you know, we need. I'm sure we need skilled tradesmen and people of all sorts. It can't be just about, you know, clever people who've been to university and got lots of degrees. No. You know, there's got to be other people like me who are a bit dumb, you know, because we do all sorts of different jobs. No, it's absolutely essential.
Thank you very much. I think that is great to hear from Mike, and I think we salute you for the service that you provide to the British Army for 25 years, because that was a freedom. And thank you very much, Desiree, for coming to the show again, and we hope both of you to have you in the near future. And continue the great job you're doing for the community, and great job for the community foundation that you're spearheading. And we hope to see you more in either Brooks, County of Newell or maybe some other areas.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you.
This is the conclusion of Global Village show today, and thank you very much again for joining us. We hope you will join us next time, same time. Until then, have a nice evening and God bless.